And welcome to Ask Your Academic. Today's session will cover the MSc Oral Sciences, and we're joined by our programme lead, and I'm a member of our programme administration team. A number of questions have been submitted before today's session, so we'll do our best to cover all those, but we do have the chat box facility, so if there's anything that you think of throughout the session, please pop them in there, and you can also use that to say hello and let us know where you're watching from. If you've got any sort of questions specific to sort of funding, scholarships, your application, I'll pop some useful links into the chat box for you there. And then if after the session you have any further questions, you can contact the administration team, and those details can be found in the programme webpage on our website, and it's near the top in the sort of blue box. So we are recording today's session as well, and that will be made available to you probably near the end of the week. That'll be emailed to you and also made available on our website. So we only have a short session. So if our panel could introduce ourselves and give us a bit of an overview of the programme, that would be amazing.
Okay, hello there. I'm Professor Gordon Ramage. I'm a Professor of Microbiology based at Glasgow Dental School and Hospital. So I'm the programme lead for Oral Sciences. And I work with a team of other academics who are both clinicians and scientists who work in research related to oral sciences, which covers microbiology, immunology, pathology, and some other disciplines, as well as sort of clinical disciplines. So the programme is quite extensive, and I think one of the things you really ought to take on board is how much work is going to be within it. There's a range of different courses which you will take over semester 1 and semester 2, and then semester 3 will be the dissertation. In semester 1, then we spend a lot of time with you, because most of the people who come onto the course tend to be dentists by background. So we spend a lot of time with you, teaching you generic research skills, how to read research papers, how to interpret them. So we have things called journal clubs, and we meet in sort of mentor groups to discuss those. And we kind of work with those groups throughout the year. We have a course called Translational Research Approaches, where we kind of look at a practical element. We do lab skills or virtual lab skills, followed by a laboratory, which is a formal laboratory where you learn how to pipette, how to do various skills in a laboratory. We also do statistical methods. We have a course which covers elements of the clinical disciplines, but it's really, I think one of the key points here is that it is a science-based course within the context of oral biology and dentistry. So this is not a course to come and learn about dentistry. So I just want to make that very clear. You are dentists, so we expect a certain amount of knowledge in dentistry to be able to apply some scientific method. So as I say, the first semester is really about a lot of those skills. You might have the option to do some ethics and research audit, but principally semester 1's really about getting you involved. And there is, spoiler alert, there's a lot of assessment. So we tell the students very early on that you should be prepared to work extensively hard. It's not 2 hours a day and then go back to your dorm or whatever and go out and look at Glasgow, visit the building behind me, for example. There is a lot of work to be done and a lot of assessment, which comes really quite rapidly. If you manage to get it through some first semester, because you'll be going, this is really difficult, semester 2 becomes, we build on our research skills. So say in semester 1, we do some laboratories and some virtual laboratories, and that's assessed in many ways. For example, lab reports, writing grants, oral presentations, for example. We don't tend to do many formal essays because the format of that is actually quite difficult to assess, and it's quite subjective. So you've got an experience of that. So in semester 2, we build upon that, and we do an advanced research laboratory class where you maybe learn about how to do ELISAs, how to do quantitative PCR, how to do nanopore sequencing. So that's all led by my colleague, Dr. Jason Brown. Alongside that, we have a diagnostics and therapeutics course, a pathogenesis course, which is really related to periodontal diseases, and an infection control course. So there's options, and then there's external options that exist within the context of the main university. So those are bioinformatics type courses. So there is a range of options, but there is obviously courses which are you're obliged to do. So those are core courses. And then that will lead up to your 120 credits. And if you receive the minimum, which is a C3 to progress, then you'll do a dissertation. So given the volume of people on the course, then the dissertations are largely data analysis or dry projects. We don't have the infrastructure to deliver wet projects for everyone. There is a potential, and it might be based on those with the best grades, but given our limitations in terms of being able to offer 30, 40 students a lab opportunity, it's just not possible. However, we do have what we call sort of internship opportunities once the dissertation's kind of more fully formed. So that's kind of what you should expect. And again, going back to the spoiler, there is a lot of assessment, and a lot of students are come into it wide-eyed and then quickly realise that there's a lot of work. So everyone gets through the course, but just be aware that it's very, very, very challenging. Okay.
Thank you. And Susan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. My name's Susan Christie. I'm the Programme Administrator for MSc Oral Sciences. Everything Professor Ramage has said is true about how hard work it is. Sometimes students will ask us questions like, how often will they be in lectures during a week, or how many classes a week will they have? And it's difficult to quantify that. But what I would say is for every hour of teaching, PGT students are expected to do 10 hours of self-supported learning themselves. So when Professor Ramage says that you won't be going out and seeing Glasgow, maybe you'll do that at the weekend, but certainly not during the week. So whilst you won't be sitting in a classroom Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you will have tutorials, you will have journal clubs on different days, you will have lectures, and then the time around that, you will definitely be spending in the library or studying and reading up on different things. Another question we sometimes are asked is, are students able to then take a job around the course? And again, what we would say, and this is also from students who've previously taken the course, it is very difficult to balance any type of part-time work along with this programme. It's a programme of full-time study. So especially during the top period, semester 1 and semester 2, there's a lot of studying, there's a lot of assessments that you'll be spending time on. Having said that, Glasgow's a lovely city to come and see when you do get to see it. There's a lot of support in the university, not just within the dental school itself. There's certainly a lot of support there, but also in the wider university, on the main campus in Gilmore Hill, there's lots of support for and training to help support your academic writing skills and things like that. So if you come and you're struggling with the first semester in any way, there's always support there to help you work through that. You would certainly not feel alone when you came to university. And the other thing I think about the Oral Sciences programme is the cohort of students seem to really pull together and bond really well. We've found that every year. So you'll have a kind of a strong team of peers around you that will help you out as well.
Thank you. Another question that we've had is about optional courses and just when students pick those throughout the years. At the start of the year, is it at a certain point?
Susan, can I let you deal with that one?
Yeah, no problem. So it would probably be within your first week that you would choose your semester 1 optional courses. some of the optional courses that we have are capped in numbers. So it is very much a case of first come, first served. And in terms of semester 2, you would usually choose that at the end of semester 1. So by the end of semester 1, you'll have carried out a number of different courses and probably realised what areas you have more interest in studying more, maybe got some ideas of what you want to do in your research project. And then that would help perhaps with your choices of the semester 2 optional courses.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think, we say this every year, but it's best to wait until you're in Glasgow and you have the introductory lecture from myself and Dr. Brown, where we go through each course and explain to you exactly how challenging they are. For example, one of them is an ethics-based course, and if English isn't your first language, it's a very challenging course because it's a very advanced philosophical type course. So that's quite difficult, and there might be another course which is much more suited to your skill set. So what you do not want to do is start the course struggling and playing catch up. You want to try and maximize your opportunity for your grades, because fundamentally, if you can keep an average of a B or an A, then that gives you the opportunities for merits and so on. So there's possibilities, but if you start with a low grade just because it was a very challenging course, then you simply can't achieve that.
Thank you. And it's been touched on, but we've had a few questions asking about the project element. So people are wanting to know how you choose your topic. Is that from yourself or from a list? How you're assigned a supervisor, things like that?
So I'll just explain. So for example, this year, we have just divided the students based on the mentor group. So I mentioned, like, from day one, you'll be given a mentor. So there's 5 or 6 of us who will lead you in tutorial groups. And what we've done this year is work with the students through journal clubs, through research meetings and so on. So we build up a fairly good relationship with those students, and then we work with them to try and come up with a project. So this year, for example, we have a range of projects. Well, I have a range of projects which are related to oral cancer, to caries, to periodontal disease, and those can be either a sort of formal systematic review or a semi-systematic review, or I have a student who's doing, for example, bioinformatics, and she's doing whole genome sequencing and aligning genes. So the possibilities are very large. I think as dentists, you are generally very tactile and have good manual dexterity. So a lot of the skills that you have are actually available to work in a laboratory already. Essentially, what we do is pipettes, so we can do things quite readily. There's not once you've done it a couple of times, then you know how to do it. So the actual benefit of the dissertation and the skills is more about being able to research literature, how to analyze literature, and that's what we're training you for, so that you can get as much opportunity beyond that. And I think those skills which you acquire, and you'll see a big difference in yourself from day one to the end in terms of your transformation. But a lot of the students are now applying for PhDs, for example, and working with us, and they have the skill sets now to do that, whereas at the beginning they certainly did not.
Thank you. And I think you touched on it a wee bit at the start there, but there was a questions about assessments throughout it. So you mentioned there was quite a few. Can you give us a wee bit more about what they kind of involve?
Yeah, so I think it'll probably relate to another question, but one of the things that we do is I think, in your minds, forget textbooks. As dentists, you study through textbooks. Just forget those. They've never existed. What you will learn is to read scientific papers, and at the front of a scientific paper is what's called an abstract. And one of the first assessments we get you to do is to provide you a paper without an abstract, and you have to read this and then summarize it like an abstract. So that's one of the first things you do. You will also pull together almost like a a small research grant, which you do in evidence-based medicine, as well as in one of the other courses. Basically, you're creating some sort of research proposal based on your ideas, and we walk you through that. Students really like designing a website, so it scares them when I first tell them they're going to design a website, but the feedback is amazing every year because they've never done it, and if you are in any way creative, then the possibilities are really good, and we can share some of those when you start the course, just to show you what's possible. So there's websites, there's numerous oral presentations. I mentioned a scientific paper. So when we do the virtual lab and the real laboratory, then essentially what you do is you create a plaque biofilm in an artificial way, and then we get you to bring in all what weird and wonderful reagents that you might think will kill microbes on a surface, and that's what we assess you on, and then you write that up as a scientific paper, which is challenging. Other courses have slightly different assessment. For example, statistics, there's a small exam. In infection control, there's a sort of small exam with additional. So there is a variety for each course. There's not a single assessment. There is a variety. So for a 20 credit course, which is a longer course, then there'll be at least 3 different types of assessment. For a 10 credit course, it tends to be 1 or 2, maybe a formal piece of written work with an oral presentation. But there is a vast amount of different types, and I think that will allow you, it helps, that diversity of assessment helps people with different skill sets as well. Susan, have I missed any of the specific assessments?
No, I would just reiterate to any of the applicants that are going to come along to study oral sciences that it's the teaching is very much something that you're expected to participate in. It's tutorial groups and more especially journal clubs. Everyone is expected to contribute to those. You will find yourself on your feet and talking to your group very early on, but these are small supported groups that you will be talking to and learning from each other. The oral presentations are about 90% of them are live. Again, there's only, I think, the website one where it's recorded over the talking through the website. So if you don't feel confident about standing up and speaking about a subject at the beginning of the programme, you certainly will by the end of it, which is great, because what we're doing from day one in this programme is training you so that by the time you get to your project and you've done your research project and your dissertation, then you're in a position to either carry out an oral presentation and answer questions about your dissertation, or produce a poster and answer questions about the poster on the subject. So it's giving you the skills so that by the end of this MSc, you will be certainly feeling much more confident about talking about your subject in front of not just your peers, but in some of the assessments, it's about talking to or writing to someone who's like myself, who perhaps doesn't understand the subject, so a lay person as well, and getting used to the language around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the other things to take into account, so we'll tackle it straight on, is artificial intelligence. So you'll all be aware of ChatGPT. The assessments that we have are specifically designed so that you cannot create an answer. We don't have essay type answers where a piece of software can do it for you, and we're very alert to any of those issues. So we are very big on plagiarism, and one of the things that I would advise in advance is try to really understand plagiarism. We will provide you with courses, numerous courses, and we will reiterate it, but what we define as plagiarism is what we assess on, and there's cultural differences in what's accepted as plagiarism, but copy and pasting text without references and so is plagiarism, and we have in the past had a number of students who have been caught out and referred to Senate. So please if you want to do any advanced work, is try and understand what plagiarism is, because it's a problem that we don't need to have.
Thank you. And is there anything that students can do ahead of starting their studies in September? So any recommended reading or anything?
So no textbooks. Forget the textbooks. All I would advise is perhaps reading some scientific papers. And it's very difficult to know where to start. But there's a website called PubMed, and I'll put it in the chat in 2 seconds. But PubMed is where we find our literature. If you don't know where to start, a good start would be to look at the staff who are teaching on the course and read some of their papers, because that will probably give you an idea of the types of things that we're going to teach you. So you'll be able to go on to the University of Glasgow Dental Hospital website. You might see some of the staff. There's myself, Dr. Jason Brown, Professor Shauna Colshaw, Dr. William McLean, for example. Then look at some of the literature that they produce, because we are a research-driven university, so we educate based on internationally excellent research. So we teach the things that we do. We don't. That's what I'm reiterating. We don't just teach from textbooks, because we expect you to know the basics. So read papers. If you are unfamiliar with statistics, you're going to hate it, because unfortunately there's no getting away from statistics. So there are basic, there's advanced textbooks. Most things that you will need, you could actually find from Googling on the internet. But if you insist on wanting a textbook, even just statistics for dummies, something just simple, because you're going to find a lot of information, and statistics for me doesn't really make sense until you actually generate data and see it. So some of it will come, and we'll talk you through that when we look at scientific papers and so forth. But you will be on a course which deals specifically with statistics, and statistics for maybe what I do in a laboratory with bacteria and clinical samples is different from what somebody might do in epidemiology, but you will be learning the whole breadth of that. So just be prepared to read papers and to understand a little bit about statistics. The rest of it will come to you when you meet us.
Thank you. I don't know if you mentioned actually, whereabouts are the majority of the classes or the courses held? Is it main campus?
Susan, do you want to?
Yeah, it's a kind of mixture. The majority of courses that are taught by staff from the dental hospital who are based in that building tend to be taught in the dental school building, which is in Sucky Hall Street. There are other classes such as EBRM, the evidence-based research methods and statistics, which is taught at the main Gilmore Hill campus. There's a smaller library based in the dental school, but a very good dental specific library. And then obviously you have bigger library facilities at the main campus. So there's sometimes people will say to me, where should I look for accommodation? Should it be nearer one or t'other? But I mean, it's a kind of, for me, it's like a 20-minute walk between the dental school and the main campus. So anywhere around that area is good.
Perfect, thank you. We are sort of coming up to past. I wondered, do you have any, you've kind of mentioned some, but do you have any advice for students who are starting in September?
Come early, don't come late. Engage in the courses. So I think Susan's already mentioned it. I think it's really important that you attend all the courses. You need to engage with the staff. One of the things that we have noticed this year is that students can be quite nervous and lack confidence in their own abilities. So they keep on asking the staff in different ways for the answers. So don't pester the staff if we give you instruction, which we tend to give clear instruction of what's required. Then trust your own abilities. We are absolutely not assessing you on the knowledge. So this isn't about gathering knowledge about a specific subject area. What the whole program is about is making you more analytical, a much greater critical thinker, and getting to understand how to navigate your way around literature and a scientific environment. So don't come expecting to suddenly know everything there is to know about endodontics or prosthodontics or caries. It's not about that. It's about learning the processes more than anything else, and that's what you need to be prepared to come to do. So don't get frustrated if you don't have this encyclopedia of knowledge about a specific subject area. We're just equipping you with tools, software. One of the things that students, maybe going back to a previous question, anything to look at. Can you navigate yourself around Excel, Microsoft Office software? So PowerPoint, Excel, Word. If you want to do anything, make yourself familiar with those programs, because you will be using them all the time, and then we'll introduce you to some other scientifically based programs to draw figures and so on. But yeah, as dentists from overseas territories, then it's surprising a number of students have never really used or had to use some of these programs, but you will be using them on a daily basis. So if you want to do anything, make yourself familiar, make yourself more IT proficient. Have a go at Zoom, because things on Zoom or Teams and those kind of environments, sharing screens, they're things that might come second nature to us because we've had to do them quite a lot. But yeah, make yourself IT proficient is key.
Susan, anything you'd like to add?
Just to reiterate what Gordon said there, certainly the earlier you can turn up, the better, so that you're here for the introductory lectures where a lot of information is given to you, and you have the opportunity to ask questions. Read your emails that you'll receive to your student email. It sounds really simple, but I'll be sending a lot of helpful information to that from just before registration onwards. And remember that there are a lot of support services here, both at the university and at the dental school and hospital for you. The Student Development Service has live, online live and recorded classes to help you out with academic writing and all sort of elements of your study. There are other support services on the main campus and at the dental school in terms of support for other issues that you might be having. The university has accommodation services. Do not arrive and be worried. Just always ask the question once you're actually here. We would probably be able to point you in the right direction a wee bit quicker than you kind of searching about. But the support is here once you get here, but take the support and just read everything that is sent to you carefully.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think Susan mentioned it earlier, fairly early on, you will get that sense of collegiality with your student colleagues. And once you establish that, then the best way to learn, and we really encourage it, is to support one another and share information. Absolutely, and this is a really important thing. And I think there is no competition between the students. Everybody can achieve an A. We don't have a grade curve or anything where we have to give out a certain amount of A's and B's and C's and so on. Everybody can achieve an A. So the more teamwork there is, then as far as I'm concerned, the better. We're not talking about plagiarizing each other's work, but sharing information and encouraging and support. That's absolutely what a scientific background's about. That's collaboration. So get that in your mindset, that it's about sharing information.
Thank you. Well, that is us now at past, and we've come to the end of our session. So thanks both of you for taking time out of your busy schedule, and thanks for everybody that's watching. Hopefully we'll see you all in September. So thanks again, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.